What does Zyn really give you? Not just smoke-free nicotine satisfaction, but also real freedom to do more of what you love, when and where you want to do it. Why bring Zyn along for the ride? Because America's #1 nicotine pouch opens up all the possibilities of right now. With Zyn, you don't just find freedom, you keep finding it. Find your Zyn. Learn more at Zyn.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo. Shadow Show.
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 Shadowing it.
Shadowing it. So Stugotz came in here just a bit bewildered. He asked me correctly. It's the correct question to ask. Is Greg Cody in today?
Mm-hmm.
There's no proof of it.
It's Tuesday.
Ever since he said he's very punctual and never late, he hasn't been on time since.
Mm-hmm. It's bad traffic out there, man.
Understood, but everyone else got here on time.
Yeah, it's true.
Everyone but him got on time, and you came from further through that bad traffic. Zaslow is here heroically. What is the reaction to Zaslow? Zaslow has inundated our playoff coverage. He won a giant bet, and so he's around as much as he'd like to be with great riches and reward as he climbs the ladder at ESPN Radio. What, Mike, has the reaction to Zaslow what's it been?
People like Zaslow.
Nice.
Congratulations, Zaslow. I did not know and think
Thanks,
that
being liked, yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes. It's nice. So we've got a Panther fan here.
I don't actually check the internet. I'm just assuming.
Guessing?
Tony,
what kind of spot is that? People friggin' hate you, pal.
Well, I don't.
I mean,
You suck.
Don't check the Reddit.
Seriously, don't.
I have simply avoided all commentary, and so I was asking with genuine curiosity, what is the reaction?
I mean, we've been around for 20 years. I don't care.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, everyone's got an opinion.
It's the kind
we're the type of show that just will cater to one comment and be like, God damn it, we can't get it right.
My father will go on Google. He'll be like, hey, I Googled your name the other day. Oh, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah, you aim for a consensus opinion here.
Again, Mike, I wasn't asking for a consensus opinion. I was asking you to tell me what the reaction has been. He lied to me. He lied to me. He didn't tell me the truth.
I've seen some mentions. I don't know, like,
Bad
engagement
spot.
is difficult on social media these days. I don't know what's what. Like, but people generally like Zaz.
Greg's here.
Yes, Greg is
See the
walking
comments.
in
If
late
you like
again.
Zaz, type 1 in the chat box.
For what it's worth, my buddy Kevin loves Zaz.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tony.
Kevin.
That is
Kev.
that's
Bring up the chat box so I can see all them ones.
Mike, you sound super defensive, and all I asked was a question.
Hey, yes and is what I did.
Mike, stop interrupting me. God almighty. Just God almighty, stop interrupting me for a second. I asked you a
It's a
question.
long weekend on a Tuesday. I'm here,
asked
man.
you, congratulations
He
on
just showed
being
up.
here.
Don't direct your frustration to me.
Listen,
Greg just sauntered in.
No, he showed up, but did so with the courtesy of not lying to me when I asked him my first question. He just remained silent and then made a bunch of
What's the
noise
lie,
putting
man?
his things on
What's
the
the
floor.
lie?
Leave the lying to me.
Stugotz, what do people think about Zaslow?
They like him.
There you go.
Nice.
Anybody else have an opinion?
A lot of ones in the chat.
Let's get look at all them ones.
Cody, have you seen any of the reaction to Zaslow around here? What is the reaction been to Zaslow? I don't know. I'm asking with genuine
You
curiosity.
think Cody knows?
You mean my reaction or general reaction?
Well, not
I don't know.
everybody likes Zaslow.
Of course they don't. I mean, why would they? No, I'm kidding, Zaz. You know that. I love you like a pet.
Why would you say that you're kidding there? You're not kidding.
You know, he's
When you say pet,
yeah.
what do you mean by that?
Just an old saying he's been saying for 50 years. He's not updated
But
the
doesn't he call
catalog at
farts
all.
pets?
Yeah.
I do. You know, that's open to interpretation.
That's
So you
why I
love
was
him
trying
like
to
a fart.
interpretate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
I
So
love
do you
a
love him
fart.
like a fart or like
Yes.
Jumpin' Charlie? What do you like him?
Tony, this is...
Interpretation.
Put the microphone in front of your mouth.
I know.
This is the Dan Levator Show with the Stugotz podcast.
So among Stugotz's discombobulations is that he came in here today and Kristen said, congratulations to all. And Stugotz said, on what? And then she said, on your sports Emmy. And
GBF, huh?
no, not GBF. Then Stugotz asked, because he can be sometimes in his own little compartment far away from the real world in a sphere on acid. And when he asked
Mushrooms.
the question, what did we win a sports Emmy for? I looked at him and I wondered how many guesses I would have to give him before he came upon what Meadowlark made that would have won a sports Emmy. Don't look it up.
I'm typing in a password. That's all I'm doing.
All right, I don't trust you. Keep your sausage fingers away from the evidence. Any data collection will be used against you.
I didn't lie to you pregame. I mean,
You were the only one who didn't lie to me in the pregame.
Well,
You were the
go.
only one. Do you know
Right.
how? Do you know how lonely it is to have Stugotz next to me as the most honest man in the room? Please stop typing with those fat fingers.
I'm typing in a password.
Look, now's when you need information.
Little Gmail password.
You've gone 20 years without retaining any information. You don't need some right now.
All right.
What do you think we won a sports Emmy for?
Ooh. The Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody?
Thank you.
No.
It's about time.
That's incorrect. I will say that I did enjoy watching on YouTube. I encourage you to watch the Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody, which is produced very well. The star, The producers on that show, Yeti and his son, do a very good job of conjuring
son?
from Greg Cody the best Greg Cody.
Thank you.
The Greg Cody who is dismissed by his son. His son plays the loser who is too hard on him, and Greg gets to win because he just barrels right through all of his son's insults with an alarming amount of unfunny that then becomes funny because of how Yeti and Chris are producing him.
Thank you.
All right, so it wasn't the Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody. The hockey show?
Oh, yeah, Bellamy's got that going on. That is smoking hot. The hockey show.
So far, you've just named 2 podcasts. Not know what an Emmy is.
I don't think he knows what Meadowlark makes either. I think we could
I shouldn't have come in today.
I think we can have him keep guessing.
I'm so annoyed.
I think we can have him keep guessing and not get a correct answer. But I don't think we've celebrated enough. We don't get sports Emmys around here. No, Dan Patrick's been begging to win a sports Emmy the entire time his show's been on the air. Begging. We won a sports Emmy, Stugotz, but can you stop typing, please?
Password, Gmail.
What did we win a sports Emmy for?
Ooh. That soccer documentary we made?
That was several years ago.
Oh.
The one with Grant Wall?
Yes.
Yeah, Good Rivals.
That was good.
Yeah, it was, but
Yes.
but it did not win the sports Emmy.
I know
closer, though.
Right. We made another movie, that much I know.
Okay, which one was that?
Did we make 2?
We made few movies. We got a darts movie in the UK, but that didn't win a sports Emmy either here or in the UK.
Darts movie?
It's a great movie.
Really?
It's a great movie.
Sounds interesting.
It should win a sports Emmy. It did not win a sports Emmy. But now all you have to do is correctly name a third movie that Meadowlark Media has made, and no one believes you can do it.
There was the Red Sox movie.
That's the one. It's not the name
That's
of
ours, right?
That is ours.
They were down 3-0. They came back. They won it. They won the World Series. That whole thing.
What's the name of the movie?
Spoiler alert.
Oh, wow.
You don't know the name of the movie?
The Sox.
I don't know how to
You're
do
half right.
I have
Twisted from the bottom.
I
Dan.
have
That's the
confetti I'm
directions
twisting
here.
and it just broke apart. Like I was
You're
trying
strong,
to do
dude.
confetti. Go ahead and do your own confetti. We've got broken confetti. Look at this. All we have is that. Congratulations.
Sad confetti.
Yes, to Meadowlark Media. There it is. That is the height of entertainment, the height of production. We have 4 of 7 confetti makers work and function. Congratulations to Meadowlark Media
Gus can't even get
Salt and
his
pepper shaker. What is this thing?
That's exactly what it looks like.
for winning a prestigious sports Emmy. I want to talk about a number of things today, but I want to begin with the Florida Panthers, and I want to ask Panther fans Mike Ryan, Roy, and Zaslow if Mikola, Reinhart, and Greer are that important that the Panthers look totally incompetent as soon as they lose their depth and lose for the first time to that group of losers from Carolina. I can't believe the Carolina Panthers before yesterday, Carolina Hurricanes, excuse me.
That's a fun.
Before yesterday, I can't believe that they had lost 15 straight conference finals games, which is an epic way to be a loser.
Well, Sam Reinhart not being in the lineup, that affects your offense, your defense, your power play, and your penalty kill. And the power play went 0 for 4. So, yeah, that definitely affected things. And the way that Nico Mikkola has been playing lately, he's been joining in on the offense. That affects your offense and your defense, too.
Did you hear them say who scored the game-winning goal in the last time the Hurricanes won a conference final? It was Rod Brind'Amour.
Yep. How about that?
Well, I've got a couple of questions for you guys because after Carolina lost Game 3, I thought Brind'Amour sounded as broken as any coach I've heard who still had games to play. I thought the comments coming out of the Panther locker room were interesting when they went up 3-0, and I didn't believe what they were saying. I didn't believe what Marchand said, and I didn't believe what Paul Maurice said. Paul Maurice said in Game 3, which would break any man coaching who had lost 14 straight conference finals games, to be in a game on the road trying to save your season, have the Panthers hit you with that onslaught in the third period of 5 goals in your face. Brind'Amour, when asked if his team was fragile, said, I don't know. And it was like the 5th most broken comment that he made. Brind'Amour, who I don't think of as ever broken, but for reasons that would be understandable, the Panthers would break him. Marchand said, after going up 3-0, we're preparing as if this is going to go 7. And Paul Maurice said, in the game that was 6-2 in Game 3, he said, I had a second piece of gum ready because I was prepared to go double overtime. And I just think these people are lying. I don't believe that's the actual mindset of this team. I think it's a good thing to say. I don't believe that they don't believe that they own the Carolina Hurricane.
Well, you know, we expect 7-game series. That's the Panther mantra that they say before every series. But I give Paul Maurice credit. He spent the first 3 games of that series saying this is closer than the score makes it seem. And your friend, the media, and most fans were just like 3-0, 16-4 combined score. Carolina's got no shot. Well, Paul Maurice won. Media nothing. He was right. It's been closer than the score seems. And Carolina last night, Florida played terribly, but Carolina was the team we thought it would be.
Hold on a second, though. Don't say it's been closer. That last year's series was closer maybe than it looked.
The one 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years
that was the sweep. Right. That wasn't a sweep.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, the non-sweep.
Yes, that Brind'Amour claimed wasn't a sweep. That was that was closer than this has been.
You're up 3-0. You outscored them 16-4. I mean, it's not close.
It's not just that. They're great at the penalty kill, and in the first 3 games of that series, they have not been because Florida's done whatever it's wanted to against them, and then Florida wins the way that it always wins by ransacking you in the third.
That was Carolina's first lead in the entire series. So Carolina is certainly a lot more comfortable with the lead, allows them to play. Certainly the injuries there. And if you want to nitpick about one thing about this Panther run, they have struggled to put teams away at home when they have the opportunity to eliminate them. So I think in that locker room, you're hearing a team that was up 3-0 against the Edmonton Oilers and almost blew that. You're hearing a team that lost an opportunity to win in 6 at home against Toronto and had to go on the road for a Game 7. They've missed opportunities in this run. They've usually bounced back, but you got to think that starts playing with their heads a little bit.
I thought we were uncharacteristically sloppy last night, too. Really, from the get-go. Like, we weren't sharp. Like, I don't think the Panthers played terrible last night, but they were sloppy really from the get-go. Kachuk, really 2 sloppy passes Kachuk made terrible, including giving us 0 chance with the empty net. It's one of my biggest pet peeves in all of sports. When you pull the goalie and the other team scores immediately, so you never even get a chance with the extra skater. And that's what happened last night. Kachuk just gave the puck away. We had no chance. There was so much time. It was like 2.5 minutes left.
Bad, lazy giveaway at the opposing blue line. Kachuk is good for those turnovers occasionally. You got excited Was it game 2 where he played really well and you thought, oh, Tkachuk might be back, but he's still not right. He's still not moving well. He's going to be able to deliver something on that power play, especially when he gets behind the net in his happy place, but he's always looking for Reinhart in that high slot. He doesn't have Reinhart there, which might attribute to the power play struggles that they've had.
And Barkov, too, by the way, last night, 2 point-blank chances.
And he got sat down by Slavin. Slavin was in his hip.
It was more about Carolina. Like, both those times that Barkov had the puck, he was looking to go to that backhand and go top shelf on the glove side, which is his move, and he got it poked away each time. Like, Carolina's defense was really good last night.
I think it was an intentional tank. Because if you all of a sudden you look at the schedule, if they would have swept, you would have had an 11-day layoff for the Cats going into the Stanley Cup final. So it's like, you maybe look around and say, yeah, you know what, we could sit a couple guys, try to get healthy, and then not have 11 days off.
You guys do something with health that I think is interesting and unfair, okay? I understand that Tkachuk is out there, and so if you're out there, your performance is going to be subject to criticism. But if all of us are watching, and we know that he was injured playing for his country in the middle of the year, then got rested and came back and looked like he had months of rest because his body has taken, his body, smaller than a good amount of the bodies that are out there with him, has taken an unholy beating over the last few years, playing injured during this time of year. He's obvious to the eye, not right, because something's physically wrong. Why doesn't it buy him anything? Why, as the person this important to the team, as the person at the center of a team that's winning, but not right now because of him, why doesn't it buy it something with all of you that you know he's hurt and his performance doesn't match what it would if he weren't hurt?
Well, what is the definition of buy him something? Like what is it not buying him? We're not sitting here mother effing him.
No, it bought him us saying he's not the same player, but also we revisited game 2 where even though his speed wasn't the same, he dominated that game. Had multiple points. He was the best forward, the first star of that night. So he's shown you that he can play well.
No one's crushing him.
And we're not talking like his injury.
Dan's saying it should buy him no criticism. That's what he's saying.
His injury affects his straight line speed, his agility. The problem that we had with him last night was the sloppiness with the puck.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with being injured. Him giving the puck away without looking at the blue line. That has nothing to do with anything.
I'm just saying that any performance that is poor would be mitigated or diluted by anybody playing hurt. And so whatever it is that he's giving you, I would think that a fan base that has now grown accustomed to winning, at least in part because he's at the center of your team, has to be good with whatever it gets from a guy that they're throwing out there when he's a percentage of what he normally is.
I don't understand what the take is. Like we mentioned that he's hurt. That's what that buys him. 2 Stanley Cups ago where he came back and had a game-winning point in the one win that they had against Vegas when his body went through what is tantamount to a car accident. It bought him a lot. Look at gutsy Matthew Tkachuk over there. That's legend-building stuff. But if he's out there on the ice, a lot of people are hurt. And if you're sloppy with the puck and you're hurting your team, you don't show up wearing all black for a funeral and play your worst game of the season.
I don't think anybody's down on Tkachuk, but I will say I really admire Paul Maurice. I think he's an uncommonly honest coach who is extremely thoughtful in his answers. And he admitted earlier in this series, I think it was, that through most of the Tampa series, Tkachuk was not himself. He was still trying to totally recover and find his game, but now he is, according to his head coach. I trust that. Is he 100%? No, nobody is this time of year, blah, blah, blah. But I think Tkachuk is himself. And like you said, Zaz, I don't think the turnovers and the giveaways can be forgiven on not being 100% healthy.
And Zaz, the Panthers are winning different ways this year. But if you look at their last conference championship series against Carolina, and you look at that Matthew Tkachuk versus this Matthew Tkachuk, thankfully the Panthers haven't needed him. They barely needed Sam Reinhart out there. But Matthew Tkachuk was bossing that series against Carolina the last time out. Totally different Matthew Tkachuk. It may be because of the team, but also might be because of that health.
Bunch of hockey players in here, Dan. I mean,
it is always interesting to me when we think we're tougher than the people out there. And when Mike says he doesn't understand the criticism, what I would say is my criticism of what it is we generally do this time of year is if you win, we celebrate you. And if you lose, and it might be because you're injured, we don't care that it might be because you're injured. And last night they lost because they're injured. Like last night they lost. Reinhart kind of mattered. Look, 0 goals, 0 goals when I've seen what that team does. Not only what they do on the power play, what they've done to ransack that Carolina team through the first 3 games, then when what that Carolina team does better than anyone is if they're penalty killing, you're not scoring on them. They came into this series being exceptional at that, and Florida neutered them. And to me, this is a funny thing to say, right, because of what happened immediately afterward. I thought that series ended when Carolina had a 5-minute power play. And then Florida had the best chance during that 5-minute power play, shorthanded. And then right after that, Florida got on the power play. However, I can't say that because Carolina immediately tied the score. And so I can't say that the series ended there when Carolina then tied the series. And what Florida did in the third period is what Florida does. And this is Jalen Brunson land, right? When you have the thing that everyone in the sport envies. In the third, they're going to hit you in the face with 5 goals, and you're never going to hit them in the face with 5 goals. Because you can criticize the Panther play all you want. Against that defense, they've scored a bunch of goals. And I wasn't expecting that. Even if Carolina's owned, even if Carolina plays poorly in the conference finals, 15 straight games, I still don't expect them to allow 6 goals. And I don't expect them to 2 games in say, we're going to change the vibe and our goalie. Never mind, we're scared about everything happening here.
Greg, is it fair to say that this is all an overthink? I mean, nobody beats a Carolina Hurricanes 16 games in a row.
Everybody knows that's very tough.
It's very difficult to do in the Eastern Conference Finals. You had a team who's a good team, whose season was on the line, who wants to finally win for their head coach in the conference final.
Who was due?
They were in a rock fight. That was 1-0 until Kachuk makes that sloppy
15
play.
is one thing, 16 is a whole different ballgame.
Different ballgame.
Yeah. Just like it was a team of looking to avoid being swept, and they answered the bell such that it was.
Yeah, I don't think last night was a huge surprise, and I'll say that it was an anomaly what was happening, what we'd seen. Florida had scored 5 or more goals in 4 straight playoff games, only the 4th team in the last 30 years to do that.
Go on.
Extraordinary. And during the regular season, this was not one of the highest scoring teams in the league. So I think for them to struggle a game when Carolina was playing for its life is not a huge shock. It's hockey being hockey. That's it. I mean, I don't want to overreact to this loss, right? They can come back in Carolina in a couple of days and win that game, and nobody's going to be surprised. Nobody.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is it very hard to beat the Carolina Hurricanes 16 times in a row? I do like the push and pull of Greg saying, I don't think we should overreact. No one here is overreacting.
Well, it seems like you are.
There is what? Tell me. Go ahead. Tell me what my overreaction
seems like
is.
you're concerned. That's all.
I'm not. Tell me what please tell me what my overreaction is. Give me a sentence that would suggest I'm overreacting to anything, because there's nothing to tap the brakes on here. I'm simply taking the result from last night and talking about it. There is.
I think it's fair to say you're overreacting to our criticisms of Matthew Tkachuk, which are totally valid. Like we know how tough he is. He's bought a lot with his audience. You can say that he had a bad game and acknowledge that he's injured. That may be a contributing factor, but he's out there on the ice. You'll be the first to tell you everyone's hurt this time of year.
I mean, the Stanley Cup Final versus Vegas should be enough to buy him that favorability there.
This is what I would say to you guys, because it's not an overreaction. He's pointing at you because of how well you said that, Roy. That's why he's pointing at you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just interrupting people. That's all it is.
You said it's an overreaction. I say it is just a reaction. And what I'm also saying about Tkachuk specifically is when Mike says everyone's banged up on this time of year, not so overtly that I can see the difference between them being a good player and them not looking right. Like, it's usually not quite that overt where it's like, oh, I don't recognize the person anymore because he's obviously hurt. Usually it's not quite that overt.
No, he's clearly still hurt. And there were times during this playoffs where he's just a body out there. But his skill set offensively is him being in front of the crease, him getting rebounds.
Hold on. Let me push back for a second on I think Tkachuk is probably not 100%, but Mikkola and Greer were essentially game time decisions yesterday. And it really feels like they were sat down because we're up 3-0, let's make sure they're okay. So if Tkachuk is really hurt, why hasn't he been sat for a game like these guys.
It's an excellent point, and they have a really good winger that's not dressing for games in Mackey. They've shown how deep they are. Jesper Boquist goes from not dressing to being on the first line.
It's never even been a consideration for Tkachuk to sit.
And that's, by the way, that is absolutely what's happening with Reinhart. If the Florida Panthers were facing elimination, Sam Reinhart would give it a go. But the Panthers decided, we're kind of having an easy time with this opponent right here. Let's save him.
That's exactly right, because Maurice said of Reinhart, he hasn't been cleared and he hasn't been ruled out. He could have played last night if they're in a closer series.
They're up 3-1.
Yeah, if you guys say,
the
though...
hell are we doing?
If you got nothing, we're talking about the game last night. What are we doing is we're talking about
hockey.
We're talking about...
3-1. I mean, they're in the Stanley Cup, third straight season. Let's celebrate it.
Stugotz, should we only talk about the game if it goes to Game 7?
We're not there yet.
Let me stop all of you when you say easy time. Well, the coach just told me he's preparing for 7. Or I'm sorry, Marchand said he's preparing for 7. It's the coach's message. The coach...
Always.
Well, you say always, but not in gesture if he's sitting Reinhard right now.
That's the Panthers' mantra, though. And back me up, Roy. Before every series,
go on.
The Panthers are. Quit saying "go on." What are you doing? Before every series, they're like, "We prepare for 7 games." That's just the Panthers' mantra. It's nothing new about this series. That's what they say. That's what they do.
I get that, and it's their mantra, but it is a lie when they sit Reinhart and give away a game.
It's not a lie. If anything, they're encouraging 7 games by sitting him.
Noted, they sat him for Game 3, and they won that game, and their decision was rewarded.
I can't believe that hit resulted in someone just being day-to-day. Is anybody making the joke, the dad joke, as celebrated on the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody?
Sure.
Is anyone making the joke about Sebastian calling him an aho because of what he did to Reinhart? That the retaliation came on Sebastian because he was clearly an aho? No one's making that joke?
No, I no.
Why would they make that joke? It's a terrible joke.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man. No, it's pretty good.
Man, you knew he would show up for that empty net. Sebastian Aho, one of the great frauds in that sport. You knew at 6'1" that dude was going to be pin hunting.
Oh, and it was such a charity goal. He was past the puck in front of the net. Why didn't the other guy shoot? Here's a little gift for you, you aho.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Ryan. Now the weather is warming up. That means summer concert season is right around the corner, and so many great acts are releasing albums and touring those albums over the summer. We got stadium shows, amphitheaters, people that want to wear shorts and party all night long. But guess what? Some tickets are hard to find. Sometimes tickets are sold out and you have hard to get into events and you have nowhere to turn other than the secondary market. Well, why don't you turn to Game Time? Because from my experience, that's where I always turn to find the best deal. You may be asking yourself, Mike, what does last minute deals even mean? It means you can save up to 60% off buying last minute tickets for sports, comedy, and theater. But most importantly, this summer, if you're a music lover like me, check out Game Time for concert tickets I already have. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and shows with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Dan for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DAN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Dan wouldn't understand this. He's busy running a content circus. But if you're actually running a business, then you know. Hiring the right people isn't just important, it's everything. And that's why LinkedIn Jobs is an absolute game changer for small business owners. You're juggling payroll, logistics, maybe even mopping the floors before you open. You don't have time for flaky resumes, ghosted interviews, or job boards that feel like a black hole. When it's time to hire, you need a partner who grinds just like you. LinkedIn? They don't sleep. You clock out, they clock in. They'll help you write the job post quickly and clearly. Promote it, you'll get 3 times more qualified applicants. Not a guess, real data. And once it's live, LinkedIn helps you amplify it by sharing it with your network. You can even add that hashtag hiring frame to your profile, which doubles the number of qualified candidates you're likely to see. This is built for business owners who care about getting it right. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/DLS. That's linkedin.com/DLS to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey listeners, listen up, because I know that approaching the summer, you're probably as busy as I am, but also as desperate as I am to find some healthy meals that you can fit into those busy windows. Well, it's time to make this the best summer yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor Meals arrives fresh and ready to eat. It's perfect for any active lifestyle because with 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. Choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. In my most recent meals, I had the honey mustard chicken, I had that garlic herb salmon, and every side, every part of this meal was delicious. Honestly, at the end of it, I was just left wanting more because Factor's meals are that fresh, that delicious, and that nutritious. So get started at factormeals.com/Dan50off and use code Dan50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code Dan50off at factormeals.com/Dan50off for 50% off plus free shipping.
Dan Le Batard.
Lightning, Panthers. What do you think?
Stugotz.
Look at this face while I tell this to you. Okay, because I don't want there to be any kind of confusion. You look me right in the eye. Panthers are going to take that ass, man.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
No one's making that joke. It's a terrible joke. But I will say that the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody has a weekly dad joke that is aggressively bad, and it's more like a granddad joke. I feel
No,
like.
they're good. They're good jokes.
They're terrible every
they are.
time. Every single time they're terrible. I mean, dad jokes are always terrible. Aren't by definition, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, aren't by definition dad jokes always terrible?
They're so good. They're so bad that they're good. That's the way I look at them.
Right.
You know, you can
Stop
groan, you
talking.
can groan and smile at the same time. Am I right? For example, what does the custodian say when he suddenly comes out of the supply closet?
You blew that joke.
I know, I really did. The setup was bad.
Supplies. Like
Instead of surprise, he said supplies. But I blew
you
it.
shouldn't have
Yeah.
put supplies.
I know,
Supplies
I shouldn't
party.
have.
Yeah.
Again,
I was going from memory.
which if you're a granddad makes the jokes a little harder because you're telling granddad jokes. They're not even dad jokes. They're another level of bad.
That's true.
There's
But-
no such thing as granddad jokes. Those haven't been invented
Yeah.
yet. And
Yeah,
yours
I'm
are
gonna coin that phrase. Let me write that down.
Yours are so bad that they're granddad jokes.
Yeah,
true.
but they're cute and the grandkids love them. Like my dad says every time he takes us out for dinner, he says as he's looking over the bill, he says, "What'd we do? Break a window?" My kids are expecting it and they still laugh. I still laugh. He's
Thank
been
you.
saying it for 40 years.
Yes.
I mean,
I've been saying that for like 25 years.
Yeah.
I credit your dad for that.
you got it. Yeah, you should. Yes.
By the way, my granddaughter's graduation from grade school today, second grade. It's big. Not everybody graduates from second grade. There's a lot of first grade dropouts, so we're very proud of her for graduating. Didn't mean to derail your show.
Yeah,
there.
you did. Yeah, you
true.
did. With
Yeah.
your self-involvement and your narcissism.
Yeah, well, you brought up granddad. You know, proud to be a granddad. Mm-hmm. Any other granddads here?
No.
No.
Nope.
Pat Riley. He's a granddad.
He is.
Yeah.
And he's here.
That's a
Right,
cardboard
yes.
cutout.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Ah, it's so lifelike.
I'm not wrong that dad jokes by definition are bad, right? He makes the clarification that they're so bad that they're good. That's why they're dad jokes. But
Yeah.
they are always bad. They're not good jokes on the front.
I think they are. I think some of them are very clever. Not the one that I bungled a minute ago, but generally speaking there. If I could remember any of the others, I'd recite another one.
I'm going to move on to basketball things because I want to get Stugotz's thoughts on all things Knicks Pacers as the Knicks saved their season in a surprising way. But before I do that, I wanted to go back to just Saturday night for a second when I'm watching the start of Minnesota OKC. And Richard Jefferson had the audacity in the intro of that game to say, OKC and Minnesota, OKC was up 2-0. Quote, both teams are literally playing for their lives. end quote. Which not only are they not doing it literally, obviously, more people would have been watching if it had been literal.
For your life.
No, nor were they doing it metaphorically or in any other way, because that's not a thing that can happen when the series is 2-0. What he said made no sense whatsoever. Tony, you're shrugging your shoulders.
You know how it is, Dan. You're live on air. All of a sudden, something comes out. You're like, I wish I didn't say that. I got to rebound.
No, be better. Come on. You're previewing the game.
I don't love him on the first team, by the way. I just wanted to say that I don't love Richard Jefferson on the first team.
That's terrible. You can analyze and criticize any announcer for any one sentence, but that sentence is especially asinine.
What kind of number you think that game would get if they were playing for their lives?
Highest rated game in the history of games.
It'd be huge. MASH, right?
A game for your life?
It would rival MASH's rating in their final show, right?
It
Agreed,
would.
yes.
Better. You'd have to play it in a Coliseum, not on a court.
You're right.
Yeah, it would be like the Running Man.
I think people would tune out during the pregame.
You think that?
But the postgame.
I think people would tune in and be like, "All right, 2 teams playing for their lives." I'm like, "Is that the dude that used to run the what? I can't do it with this show. They'll never get it right. They're dyeing their hair on that dais."
I think that the reaction to that show would make it so that Richard Jefferson shouting that would make it spectacle and even better. We'd be amazed. But what a weird thing to have happen. The first ever game for your actual life in the Western Conference Finals, and it's the third game.
First 2 are free. Third one.
Really? Imagine the stakes on a game. Imagine the stakes on a Game 7.
If we're making me playing for my life a television spectacle, do not invite Bob Myers. Just don't. I don't want him there. I don't need his insight. Don't want him there.
What are the stakes for a Game 7?
This is my exact point on that game is the following. Having now seen that game and the way that Richard Jefferson described it beforehand,
right.
It is a game that literally no one involved will ever remember, which is not something that would have been the case if they had literally been playing for their lives. Now, having seen the result, Minnesota dragged OKC means nothing. Means absolutely nothing. Minnesota is now finished. OKC will win the title. If they do not get hurt, OKC will win the title. They're a good deal better than everyone else.
Or if they play the Knicks.
Well, tell us now how you're feeling, Stugotz.
We're back.
I'd like to know how you felt beginning that fourth quarter, and I'd like to know how you felt about Karl Anthony Towns entering that fourth quarter.
I was thinking, to be honest, Dan, I was firing Thibodeau at halftime. I was thinking of ways we can get rid of Karl Anthony Towns, and now I'm considering putting him in my top 5 Knicks of all time. I mean, that's how big he was in that fourth quarter. Listen, I was upset after game 1. I know you wanted my tears. I didn't give you my tears. I was really upset after game 2. To lose 2 games at home, you're thinking to yourselves, we have no shot of winning this series, and perhaps we won't win this series, but at least we have a chance. And at least we have another game at the Mecca in New York City. So we bring the series home. I'm very optimistic. I feel like the Knicks have the better team. I really, really do. I am tired of the Pacers and their fan base and Reggie Miller. I'm tired of all of it. All of it.
The thing that you said about you were upset after game 1, I actually sent out to some math friends of mine and some people who really know the history of basketball. And I asked them, if Halliburton took that shot 10,000 times, how many times does it do what it did?
Right.
And the consensus was 0.
Right.
The consensus
amongst your math friends.
My friends.
Who has math friends?
Right.
I mean,
dorks,
nerds.
Right.
The empirical data people who crunch the numbers on sports a little bit better than you two do.
Math friends.
You see how he added empirical to make his math dorks
hedge fund friends,
hedge fund empirical
analytics, hedge fund wise.
Out of here.
What a lame
And by the
friend.
way, that sounds like a guess. 0 times. Sounds like a guess.
How about this? Shooter's touch.
Yeah,
that's the math.
There is that.
How you like that one?
Put it on the
with an abacus.
Factor that in.
Put it on the poll. Put it at Batard show. Shooter's touch. Is that math? Because Stugotz just said shooter's touch. That's the math I like. Tony agreed. And again, I will say to Stugotz, I was trying to support Stugotz's point when he says, I think the Knicks are the better team. They're that close from being up 2-1.
Yes.
And instead of their season being a quarter from done, the Knicks are a 0 in 10,000 tries because a few of my math friends then called a cooler friend, Kevin Harlan, who then said he had never seen a ball go in after going that high after bouncing on the rim in all of his time covering basketball, all the games he's ever done.
He's called a lot of games.
That's analysis, right?
That's
there.
the kind of math I'm looking
led
for.
with that,
yes,
man.
Right.
Not math friends.
I think he could have done it again.
What about all the bravado from Stugotz? Like, we have the better team. Yeah, they're this close from being up 2-1 in that series. They're also this close from being down 3-0.
Well,
that was a game they saved their season with another 20-point rally.
Yes.
That's not hugely inspiring to me. It's great that they fought to save their season because then this series would have been done and dusted, but the confidence oozing from you is a little perplexing.
Well, I spoke to my math friends as well, and they told me we should be up 2-1 right now. So I'm feeling pretty good about my chances. I mean, I am.
I don't believe that Stugotz is
a math friend,
a teller of truth, or has a math friend. I believe that he's going to go bravado on the Knicks until they lose, and then he will not show us his hurt. I believe that Stugotz has been concealing what is his real Mets.
Well, it depends how they lose, Dan. If they lose a heartbreaking 7th game, or if they're up in the game 6 and they have a shot to bring it back to Madison Square Garden, I'm going to be crushed. Like you'll get my tears. But right now, I do feel like we have the better team, and I do feel like we're still very much in the series, of course.
But what I'm saying to you is you did lose game 1 that way, and you pretended like it didn't bother you.
But it was one game. That happens in a game 6 or a game 7. I'm crushed. Like crushed.
Okay, it is one game, but it was the one game that made it so that you'd be sitting here today saying, I still feel like we're the better team, even though you're 1 quarter from being down 3-0. Like you're
I'm also a bad shot away from being up 2-1. Like a really bad shot. Like a terrible decision. Perhaps the worst decision in the history of the NBA, and somehow we're celebrating Halliburton. Please.
One of the decisions that my math friends say is a 0 in 10,000 chance of happening again.
How does he know?
That's ridiculous to say that. I mean, you have better than a 0 in 10,000 chance to win the lottery. You can't say mathematically. You always say, well, you got 1 chance because shit happens. But I also think it's fair to say that the 2 East teams are playing for the right to get smoked by OKC in the final. What we're seeing here is SGA justifying his MVP award. We're seeing the face of the league emerging, and we're seeing a budding dynasty. The seed has been planted for a Thunder dynasty. Young team, they're going to be better in 3 years. Stand out of the way. Here comes OKC.
Is stand out of the way how you say that?
It's get out of the way. Yeah.
I don't think stand out of the way. Stand out of the way?
Is it get out of the way?
I've just never.
Stand aside, I think.
I think you're mixing a couple of phrases there. You were trying to punctuate it. I don't know why you
stand out of the way. Let me think about that. You could be right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. What should it have been, though?
Get out of the way.
Move out of the way. I mean, because if you're standing,
stand back.
You're not moving.
Stand aside.
Yeah.
Step aside.
It should have been,
stand back. Jack would have
stand
worked.
Back,
but
Jack.
stand out of the way is.
Well, I feel like I just invented a phrase that's now going to take root in the lexicon. You're welcome.
Has Dorcher Chamber taken?
That's a good name.
That's a good one.
Root. No. First of all, Lou Dort is a terrible name for an athlete.
Yeah.
Lou Dort doesn't work. 2 quick syllables, scores 6 points a game, gives you defense. Lou Dort intimidates no one. But now I'm going to wrap you in the Dorcher Chamber. That's a totally different thing.
You got me.
Different guy.
Now you got me.
Yeah,
That's a T-shirt
Well,
right there.
when he says of OKC, see, he's not wrong about this, but let's go back for a second when we hyperventilate in the moment. Let's go back for a second when OKC is trading Paul George so that Kawhi Leonard and him can be with the Clippers. Let's just go back there real quick and get all the analysis that said, hey, in a few years, OKC is going to be a dynasty. God, let's get all, where was that? Where was that in any of the analysis? I know OKC got a bunch of draft picks, and it allows them to totally rig the game. And this is how they rig it. They lock up young players in a city they don't want to be in for a long time. SGA would be out of there in a minute if he could be, but he's got to stay there for a long time because they've gamed the system, and this is how they do it. With a dumbass draft, they take players who would have freedom with those talents anywhere in the world in capitalism and say, you've got to live in a place you hate. And it's tiny and small, and you've got to live there for 7 years. That's how they're going to make it a dynasty, by totally gaming the math. I've asked my math friends. They gamed the math. And OKC, where was the analysis? That's going to be a dynasty in a few years, because they weren't saying about Danny Ainge for collecting all the draft picks either. And Danny Ainge collected plenty of draft picks, and that's not what they were saying. They were getting tired of him not trading any of those draft picks. Who had OKC winning the Paul George, Kawhi Leonard trade with not just a championship, but I saw it just now on Get Up, and Greg just said it. Dynasty.
Dan wouldn't understand this. He's busy running a content circus. But if you're actually running a business, then you know. Hiring the right people isn't just important, it's everything. And that's why LinkedIn Jobs is an absolute game changer for small business owners. You're juggling payroll, logistics, maybe even mopping the floors before you open. You don't have time for flaky resumes, ghosted interviews, or job boards that feel like a black hole. When it's time to hire, you need a partner who grinds just like you. LinkedIn? They don't sleep. You clock out, they clock in. They'll help you write the job post quickly and clearly. Promote it, you'll get 3 times more qualified applicants. Not a guess, real data. And once it's live, LinkedIn helps you amplify it by sharing it with your network. You can even add that hashtag hiring frame to your profile, which doubles the number of qualified candidates you're likely to see. This is built for business owners who care about getting it right. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/DLS. That's linkedin.com/DLS to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
What does Zyn really give you? Not just smoke-free nicotine satisfaction, but also real freedom to do more of what you love, when and where you want to do it. Why bring Zyn along for the ride? Because America's #1 nicotine pouch opens up all the possibilities of right now. With Zyn, you don't just find freedom, you keep finding it. Find your Zyn. Learn more at Zyn.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.